for a wellness policy violation. When we say never ending, we genuinely mean never. Left WWE 3 years after signing, at which point the former Hunico, who played the Incara during the mismanaged 2011 feud, was into the reign of the faceless luchador. As for Mystico, he returned to Mexico and found every ounce of fame he enjoyed before to WWE, having failed to become what the company wanted him to be. Number 5. Jimmy Snuka. Jimmy Snuka's career fall off as such kind of imploded. Allegations of him having murdered Nantino, his girlfriend at the time, serially reopening the case after several decades. He was finally arrested in September 2005, charged with third-degree murder and voluntary manslaughter, though he deemed he would stand trial before his passing. Been away from his convoluted real life though, Superfly's time at the top of the WWF was coming to an end. Meaning moments like his Superfly splash off top of the Cajun Square Garden and Roddy Piper bashing his head with a coconut was simultaneously defining, but there were no match for surge in popularity being experienced by Hogan that propelled him up the cards to Snuka's spot, and by July 1985, he was on. Jimmy Snuka did manage to get a second go life in the WWF between 1989 to 1993. This was largely the same experience as the wrestlers from his time faced second runs. He spent most of his time over the stars, including doing so in 7, as he was the first victim of the Taker streak. But other than that, it was worth the WWF's time. Swagger. An NCAA Division I All-American to WWE as an accomplished amateur was Vince McMahon's first port of call to make him the second coming of Kurt Angle, of course. Swagger wore singlets like Kurt Angle did, being American his entire personality Kurt Angle did, though without the same charisma, and even used the ankle like Kurt Angle did, but he could never reach the same level that Kurt did. WWE relentlessly shoved him down the roads of its audience, with the All-American eventually becoming Mr. Money and subsequently the World Heavyweight in 2010. Swagger would win the briefcase at WrestleMania 26, but by WrestleMania 27, he was a ringside second to, of all people, Cole, as he faced Jerry Lawler. 1 year later, he was 1/12 of the Team vs. Team Teddy match at WrestleMania 28, and 1 year after that, he challenged Alberto Del Rio for the big belt, though like his own title reign, the match made for dire viewing. 17 marked the end of his time in WWE, by which point he had become a jobber to the jobbers, and let alone a jobber to the stars. 3. Vladimir Kozlov. One of the most boring of all time, Vladimir Kozlov was Vince McMahon's 2008 to receive the yearly bizarre push. His calendar that year starting by watching SmackDown's Pool of Under and ending by challenging WWE Champion Triple H at Survivor Series. Kozlov was a walking definition of everything McMahon looked for in a potential mentor. He stood at 6'8", weighed over 300 pounds, and hailed from what is now Kiev, Ukraine. It was billed on television as being Moscow, Russia. In a different era, the Moscow Mule have thrived as a foreign menace across territories. In circa 2008 WWE, audiences expected much more than what Vladimir was able to offer. Main event run, he had a sharp shift to by the end of 2010, as they saw him a bumbling clown who started dancing, in tea parties and teaming with Santinella. Even though the strange bedfellows brought Kozlov his only taste of WWE, didn't come as much of a surprise when he released less than a year later. 2. Lars Sullivan. The downfall of Lars Sullivan in WWE wasn't caused by a single issue, but rather a combination of personal struggles, crises, and stale momentum. Pushed as a dominant monster in the Gold brand, but even before he made his official main debut, cracks began to show. He reportedly suffered severe anxiety attacks in one incident where he walked out for a scheduled appearance that would have positioned him for the match with John Cena. Immediately disrupted WWE's long terms for him and delayed his push. Then his career became further complicated controversy. Posts from bodybuilding forums resurfaced being racist, sexist, and homophobic, led to backlash from fans and wrestlers, as well as a significant fine from WWE and sensitive training. While he did apologize for the remarks, the damage to his hair lingered and made it exceptional for audiences to fully accept him. And Sullivan struggled to maintain in the ring due to injuries and the stop-and-start pushes meant he never fully established himself as a star, despite WWE's early investment in him. In 2020, WWE quietly released, and he also confirmed in the same year that he's done with wrestling for good. 1. Mr. Kennedy. Even though he held a US championship, won the Money in the Bank ladder match, and he's in matches opposite John Cena, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Eddie Guerrero, Mr. Kennedy is still one of the biggest what-ifs in WWE history. Injuries and suspensions wrecked all plans the company had for him, as he was booked to drop the Money in the Bank contract to Edge after sustaining an injury that was expected to keep him out of him for several months, sidelined him for a matter of weeks. To that year, he was a planned choice to be McMahon's illegitimate child, but to violate to the company's will. Those plans were also shelved, with Swaggle taking his place. The straw that broke the camel's back Mr. Kennedy's WWE career was an apparent belly-to-back suplex that he delivered to Orton, with Orton's complaints leading to Kennedy's release. To Brian Fritz shortly after this mistake, the future TNA will about the misconceptions. Orton told me to give him a belly-to-back blacks, and I did, and I thought the thing was fine. Got to the back and he was holding his neck, saying that I dropped him on his head. Went to the back and lectured me about how I needed to be safe and all this other. Got 3 huge bags of ice, one in his neck, one on his left shoulder, and one on his other. Also ramped up, put his back on. I walked to the locker room and he chewed me out the whole way there, and quietly. But he told me that you need to be careful, blah blah blah. Felt bad about it because I didn't know the tape, so I thought I really dropped him on his head. Then I went home and saw tape and I saw that he landed flat. If you slow the videotape down, his neck never was into contact with the mat. So I'll let you watch the tape and you let me know what you think. After years of resentment with WWE, you feel